about like,
Hey neighbors.
oh, and she said it. Oh, so she said it like she from Brooklyn.
Hey neighbors.
Neighbors.
What's up? What it do?
What it do?
What up, B? What's up, son?
I am so sorry for the things coming out of her mouth. Now you said son.
What's up, son? Yo, B.
Is that how we sound? Like the New
What's
Yorkers to you?
What's
Oh, poppin', I hate it because it's like for the longest time people said it too much.
I mean, I consider myself a New Yorker still. I told
Who
my
says,
cousin the
who
other
says
day.
y'all?
Y'all. I told my cousin the other day, like, when we come up there, Lucas wants to go to Bronx. And she was like, what? We're from Brooklyn. You're from Brooklyn. I said, but I was born in the Bronx?
I was born in Brooklyn. Okay, so like, a lot of people think I'm from the Bronx. I mean, I grew up pretty much in the Bronx. A lot of my family still lives there. When I go, it's over there. But I was born in Brooklyn. I'm from New York. Like, the only place I don't go that often is Queens. No offense, y'all, but I just don't go there.
Bronx. I lived in the Bronx. Then we moved to Brooklyn. My godmother and my aunts all lived in Queens. I was there like summers, and then I moved to Long Island. So I lived in Long Island for a little bit.
She
And
didn't
then
say
my
Staten
cousin-
Island.
My
Be
cousin lived in
good.
Staten Island. I used to go to Staten Island too. I used to always like, "Where's Method Man's house?"
Oh my god!
God.
I forget that he's from Staten
Yeah,
Island.
every time I went to Staten Island, I would look for Method Man's house.
Sorry, Method Man.
He's
Why?
so fucking fun. Oh my
I
god.
could agree with that. He's a man's man.
Oh my god, he's so fun. I
He's
will
a
lick
good-looking
his
man.
arm.
This podcast took a turn.
It did.
For the worst too.
We'll turn back.
I'm gonna lick his arm.
We're gonna turn back around now.
No, you gotta explain this. Like, they need to
I'm
know.
gonna lick his bicep. Oh my god, I'm gonna bite it. Okay, we're gonna turn this podcast back around. This went to Aspired After Dark.
Apparently, we gotta do that because what? Like, I'm not licking anyone's arm, but love him.
No.
Love him. Anyway,
Right here. I'm gonna lick all here.
today, how was your week? I'm gonna need you to get over Method Man's arm, you weirdo. You didn't like Fat Method Man? You didn't like him a little flabby? Because that's when I liked him.
No, I would definitely bite the flab, but now I'm licking the muscle. Method Man, if you out there.
I mean, he's out there. He's just not
Nikki
listening to
Fitness
this.
_14.
Oh, I'm so sorry,
I've been
everybody.
looking for you since I was 12.
This podcast is not sponsored by like
Method Man.
Method Man. The Wu-Tang Clan is not.
Method Man does not condone any of this.
So let's ring it in, because I mean she'll talk about him all the whole
This
episode.
will be called Method Man and Me. That's the title.
The sad thing is that I feel like it should be now. Method Man and Me.
Method Man and
The
Me.
non-story.
Right.
Like, we're
I'm
supposed
ready
to
to tell my story.
He ain't even. Okay. This is supposed to be aspired to, like, you know, bring out good stories. She's talking about licking his arm. So, on that note, how was your week so far?
I know so
You
far
guys.
it's been a really good week. Back to school. It's really back to school this week. So.
Like, I said, really good week? Okay.
It's been a good week. Nothing crazy, nothing not crazy.
Well, we should touch up on, before we even start really getting in deep, obviously there's no Papa Duck here, and we posted about Papa Duck. He's going to be on next week. That was a little bit of a fiasco, but we solved it. We're going to keep it rolling, keep it moving. So, like, next week, hopefully that's the episode that will air.
It will be.
We're gonna just roll with the punches, right? That's
all you gotta do.
So today, what are we talking about? We're gonna get a little deep today. I feel like we have a similar story on our end. I know, girl, you late. You late to the party. A similar story but different. You know, like, we both have certain trauma that we can agree is like shaped our life for different, or even our mindset, our personality, whatever. So we wanted to talk about kind of like, and listen, if there's kids, if this, I'm a trigger warning all of you guys.
Trigger warning.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it out there. Like, we're gonna talk about some heavy stuff today. We always laugh and everything, but I feel like moving forward, we want to also really share and open up our stories. We have crazy ass stories. And I had a conversation yesterday and it came up and I was like, man, damn, that's deep. Like, so we both in some way dealt with some kind of domestic violence, domestic abuse, sexual abuse. So I won't even speak for you. I want you to kind of like share what you gotta say, or how it went down, or just how it made you feel. Like, you don't even have to go into details. I want to at least know like when it happened, because we've brushed on the subject and I've known you a while, and we haven't really dug deep, both of us, in each other's stories.
Yeah.
So today is that day.
Ooh,
Tissue. We don't have it. If y'all see me, don't judge. Okay, go ahead. I want to know like.
Well, I can speak for myself. I think I've healed from that part of my life to not cry too much about it, but it's definitely
I'm gonna bring that back up later, because that's what I feel people don't get, is like, if you fully heal, it may not make you tear up. That doesn't mean it hurts less. It just means,
well, you can talk about it in a way
correct,
to get your story out without, like, you know, sometimes I feel like in the very beginning I could not speak about it without crying, but now I can speak about it. It still hurts, but I can get my story
exactly, and that's something I want to touch on. So
when
did it happen?
So for me, I was in a domestic violence, and for me, I feel like I don't call it domestic violence because it was domestic violence, but I was a part of that too. So
I'll put this, I want to say this for you. It doesn't make it not that. Like, it just means that you were both in the same situation.
Right, we both were the same.
Yeah, like I don't want you to think
because
like it's less.
In that story, I feel like we both were doing the same thing, but then when I left that situation, I then became the person that had I was the person who did the domestic violence.
So start the story, because that's important too. That's crazy.
So, you know, I got pregnant young. I had KJ when I was 19. So I was 18 when I was 18 when I had him. I had him in December. I was 18. I turned 19 in January. Young mom. My parents really was super strict on me growing up. So didn't have a boyfriend like that. I didn't go out like that. So me and KJ's dad, we were not boyfriend and girlfriend. We were just friends. So I never even had a relationship with him. So after having him going to college, my mom had KJ for the first 3 years of his life because I was in college. My 4th year, I was about to graduate, so I went and I finally got a boyfriend. Moved in with him. He was so controlling, and I didn't know it in the beginning. I was just like, oh my God, he loves me. So I'm like, got a boyfriend. I was living in a college housing. It was me, Rita, Valerie. We had like a 4-bedroom apartment. Everybody had a room. I was living with them, but we had parties all the time. All the time. With guys in and out of the house all the time. So when I met him, he was like, I don't want you to live there no more. Come live with me. He was older. I was 20. I was 20 because we were together on my 21st birthday. So I was 20. He was probably 24, 25.
Okay.
So
crazy, but yeah.
He had his own apartment. So I moved in with him. Packed all my stuff. So I'm living with him, and he's like, you know, that's when the controllingness started. He's like,
it started the very minute he asked
me,
to
right?
live with him,
So I'm in there and I'm thinking, at that time, he's like, yeah, I don't want you hanging out with them like that because you. And he did have a point, which I'm glad. A lot of stories that I was told when the girls would go out, I'm like, oh my God, I'm glad I didn't go because it was, you know, you're young, you're doing crazy stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm glad I didn't go. But he was like, you know, I don't want you going out with them because they're acting a certain way. You're going to be put in that category like that. And I was like, okay. But then, you know, it was just more like, I don't want you to wear this now. And I don't want you to do this. And I don't want you to talk like this. And
make me mad for you right
now.
And
then he's like, you're a mom. Where's your son? Because my son was still my mom. And I'm like, he's with my mom. And he's like, you need to have your son. You need to be a mom. And I was like,
which that's a good thing, but it
was a way that he did things. And I do thank him for a lot of things. He opened my eyes to a lot. He taught me a lot. But if it wasn't for him, I would have not have got KJ. So it was like, okay, so I got KJ. He was an amazing person to KJ. He taught KJ how to pee. potty trained KJ. He taught KJ how to tie his shoe. Like, he taught KJ a lot. And I was just like, we have a little family. So 1 year, 2 years, our total relationship was 6 years. 3 years in, everything is good. The controllingness is still there. He's making the money. I don't have to work if I don't want to, paying all the bills. I'm like, okay, cool. Girl, we're arguing and arguing and arguing. And then I think it was probably our 3rd year in. Nope, I want to say 2 years in, because we were about to move into a house. We had an apartment. We were arguing about something. Oh, he cheated on me.
I don't know why I laughed at that, but like that doesn't surprise
He
me.
cheated on me
You know,
with his ex-girlfriend.
interesting.
And I'm like, he comes home the next morning. I know he cheats on me because his ex-girlfriend tells me. She writes me on MySpace. This was MySpace days. And she's like, yeah, he's over here right now, blah, blah. So he walks in the morning time, and I'm like going off at him. He just punches me dead in my mouth. He's like, what are you going to do? Are you going to leave or are you going to stay?
So, oh my god. I'm trying to wrap my head around that. That made me really sad. I don't know why, but
that was the first time he hit me, and I was
because like he did wrong, but you get the punch in the mouth.
And I'm going
makes
off.
me-
I'm yelling, I'm screaming, and he's just like, pop, right in the mouth. Busting my lip and everything.
Was there before this? Because I didn't even know. I knew certain details, but I didn't know that detail. Before this, there was no sign of him being physically aggressive.
Not towards me, but he did tell me stories about his
So he
ex
told you stories?
Yeah, he was telling me he ran his ex-girlfriend over once. He was like, yeah, I had a girlfriend. She went and moved away in my car. I ran her over. I'm like, you ran her over?
And you stayed?
Yeah, because I was like, why the bitch didn't move? So
It had to be her fault.
right. I was like, oh my God, why she didn't move? She saw the car was coming. Yeah. Yeah.
So keep going because I'm
so,
like,
you know,
oh,
after that, I packed all my shit. I'm leaving. KJ was, I don't know where the hell KJ
I
was.
was gonna ask.
He might have been with my mom, because still he was with my mom on
Yeah,
the
he was.
weekends and stuff. So I'm packing my stuff. I'm called Rita and Valerie, come get me. I'm leaving. I'm packing all my stuff. He's sitting there watching me pack my stuff. Me and Valerie, we live on the 3rd floor now. We're walking back and forth, back and forth. All my stuff comes downstairs. I go upstairs. He's sitting there, and I'm like, all right, I'm leaving. And he was like, I don't know why you want to go.
Wait,
And I was like,
the audacity is so
He was like-
ridiculous.
he
Like,
was
I can't
like,
even.
you're going to leave me? I thought you loved me. And I was like, I do love you. So now he's
No,
playing
we're
that
so-
gaslighting
Like,
and then he's like, you told me you would never leave me. I have issues. I'll work on them. And I'm like, okay.
Oh,
I
hell.
look at Valerie and Rita. I'm like, I'm staying. And they're like, what?
Valerie and Rita would have yanked her by the hair. Like, you know?
They were so mad.
I would, as they should have.
Valerie
been.
was more mad that I made her walk up 3 flights of stairs back and forth to take all my shit downstairs. And now
She wasn't. She
No,
was
she
more.
was.
She was mad at that. I'm
no,
sure.
that was the only reason she
No.
was mad. No, definitely
wasn't.
No, it was. It definitely was.
Valerie, comment.
It was the only reason she was mad at me.
No, as a friend.
Because she didn't know what happened at the time. Rita was the only one who knew what happened.
Okay.
Yeah, Valerie didn't know
That makes sense.
So Valerie was just mad that she knew I was leaving, and now I took all
Now
my shit
you're
down.
mad.
And now you want me to
Now
bring
you want
all this back upstairs?
And you know, I don't like the exercise portion of
hates
this
stairs.
event. Yeah.
So
yeah.
she's like,
I know that she's like the audacity. Like,
so
I came down here
right.
3, 4, 5
Right.
times.
From
No.
that point on, it was just years of back and forth fighting. It was sometimes me fighting him, because now the door is open. We fight.
So like, that's crazy. So the minute he punched you, it was like game on. We both can
Yeah.
physically hit each other.
Yeah. There was times he would piss me off, and I would
wild.
just jump over the couch and start fucking his ass.
I
up.
can't even picture that from
Oh
you.
my God, it was bad. I blacked his eye, busted his lip. I would pick shit up, knock him in the head. Like, we would just fight. And then after we fought, we would sit there and we would talk about why we fought, and we would love each other. His mom used to come visit. We would fight in front of his mom. His mom would cry and just tell me. His mom told me to leave him. She was like, his dad was the same way. He was like, you need to get out of this. And I was like, no, I'm gonna beat his ass.
I
It
can't.
was
I
bad.
really. I mean, and it's crazy because I've been in psychotic situations, not even anything similar. But it's crazy that people outside of this knew, and it was like it was still okay.
I mean,
It wasn't, but it was.
what were they gonna do?
I mean, I don't know.
There's
I feel
nothing
like
you can do.
Well,
my
I mean,
friend,
at that point, you were still in it. So it's like,
right.
as a friend, I'm
You
like,
could
oh my
talk to
God,
me.
I will grab you by
Right.
the hair. You're going to stand
You
your
could
mother.
try to fight him,
me.
you
Like,
could try to take me, but
Yeah.
ultimately I'm gonna go back.
because that's the choices.
Yeah. So
So why
nothing
did you
they
go
could
back?
do. Because I loved him, and he loved me, and that's all I knew. That's all. Because the love that he was giving me was all the love that I needed at that time. I felt like I needed that love. Like he was my everything. Like my
gonna cry.
everything.
That's.
That man was my everything.
But he wasn't.
He wasn't. But that's all I knew at that time, and I was like, he gives me everything, and it wasn't even the financial part of it because I had my own job. Because he was like, you know, you don't have to work if you don't. But he was just so like a man figure to me. Like, and I have a dad. I don't have daddy issues at all. So it's like,
My thing is, I'm crying.
oh,
I don't know.
don't cry.
No, I you know, I care like so deeply for my friends. My thing is like, your dad is amazing.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like, and
my dad,
and he's a
would never
soft
do anything
kind, like,
that.
and that's what makes it. So a lot of people assume, because they do, and we could talk about this, like assume that when a woman's abused, they must have
Like daddy
some
issues or
type of
something.
daddy
Yeah.
issue, but also it's a self-esteem thing.
No, yeah, definitely.
So like I feel like maybe you didn't feel you never had that relationship.
Right.
So the minute you
Like,
have
my
a real
parents
relationship,
never told me they loved me. This man told me he loved me all the time. Like he would love. Like I love you. Like I'm like, oh my God, he loves me because he tells me.
he must love me.
Right.
He beat the
loves
shit
me.
out of me yesterday,
Right.
but he told me he
tells
loved me
one time
today.
he told
Like,
me,
wow.
like, I love you so much. Like that's why I do what I do.
No,
like,
I'm
girl.
sorry.
He told me that I was the type of woman that needed a man to beat my ass in order for me to stay in line. That's what he used to tell me.
I'm not okay with that.
Oh my gosh, girl. But I remember there's like a few times that I
That's
remember.
wild.
One time Valerie was staying
Okay.
with me.
I don't know.
Valerie was living with me, and I remember he wanted some money to buy weed because so he had gotten in trouble. He went to jail. I had to bond him out, so I took all the money, bonded him out. We still had a little bit of money, but it was for like the bills and stuff. So because he sold drugs, so until he can, and I used to sell drugs for him. Girl, he had me out there selling cocaine and all that stuff.
Nicole.
Yes, I was doing anything for him. Like that man was my man. I was doing anything for him.
It's like there's a difference between I'll hold you down because I'm a like that's who I am. Like I
Yeah.
got your back, but
No,
it's
he was
different.
putting me in
I'm putting you in
situations-
a situation which could take your life in
Right.
so many different ways.
Yeah.
Not even just kill you, but like
No,
go to jail,
he
all
was
these
putting me
things.
in all kinds of different
And
situations.
somebody that really loves you would never
Never.
put you in that situation.
I know that now. Then
Why do I keep crying? I'm like,
he was putting
I'm
me in
angry
so many
about
things.
it.
But Valerie was staying with us, and he wanted to buy some weed. And I had the money in my account, and I was like, I was mad at him for something, and I was like, I'm not giving you the money. I just remember us fighting. We're arguing. I go downstairs. Valerie's laying. She's sleeping downstairs. So I go downstairs. He comes behind me, grabs me by my hair, pulls me back, puts me up against the wall. Now he's choking me. I'm off my feet, and he's holding me by my neck on the wall. I can't breathe at all. Valerie's just sitting there like she's seeing this now. And she's freaking the fuck out. She's like, what do I need to do? She's like pulling money out her titties. That's where she got her money. Take all the money you want. Look here. What are you gonna do? Put her down. Put her down.
I love her. I'm a different friend.
Right.
Like I'm gonna grab the bat and we're gonna
No.
get rid of this guy.
She's
Come
like,
friend,
what
I'm
do
sorry,
you
but
need? You need
let's-
money? Here, put her down. I'll give you all the money you want. Put her down. But then after that, he made me kick Valerie out because now.
Wait, what? Because now she knew too much.
Right. And he claimed it was something different, but now we have somebody else in the
Look,
house.
I get chills.
Yeah.
That's freaking ridiculous.
But it was back and forth. There was times I sent him to the hospital. He sent me to the hospital. The police were called on us multiple times because we were fighting so much, and it was a lot. So ultimately, for that relationship, the way it ended, the one night we had split up for like a little bit, like a separation. We didn't really break up. I moved out.
moved out, but
I
you
moved
saw him
out,
every day. Kind of
right.
thing.
I moved back
Been
in
there.
with my mom, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go stay with my mom because we had gotten to a big fight, and I think it was really bad. So I ended up going to stay with my mom, but I used to come over there still every day. So I went over there. Me and KJ went over there to spend the night one night, and then since we were separated, I was talking to another guy, and I was texting this guy, and me and the guy had just met, and I had left my phone unlocked. He went through my phone, saw that I was talking to somebody else, and started trying to kill me. He threw me on the floor and was stomping on me until his cousin had. If his cousin was there, I would be dead. Don't cry because you're gonna make me cry.
Because it's I don't know how to put this, and when I tell my little story, it, even though they're very different, it's the same in the same way of like, you think someone truly loves you, so you have like a different, it's not like if someone from the street was trying to kill you, right? So like that moment of like, oh my God, someone really, like, they don't care for me. That kills you worse than the beatdown.
I think God saved me in a lot of ways because he was a convicted felon, so he couldn't have a gun. If he would have had a gun, he would have shot me probably that night. But the way he beat me and beat me until his cousin came and like grabbed him off of me, I couldn't breathe. I ran out of the house. I could not breathe. Like I was like, I grabbed my stuff and I just got in the car until I drove all the way to Rita's house and then just like came in her house, laid on the floor and passed out. Like just passed out. I woke up in the hospital. I had a contusion on my ribs. I had a black eye, a busted lip. My tooth in the back was loose. They said I could have died. Like he kicked me in the face multiple times.
I can't
even. Yeah. And that was that. At that point, I was like, I can't anymore. I can't. I just couldn't.
How? I don't even, like, you know, I'm the deep one, and I don't even, when you stop me, there's something. How or would you have done it differently?
I don't know. Like, I probably wouldn't have stayed with him after that first time he punched me in my mouth. I feel like I allowed it at that point. Like, okay, I'm gonna stay now. And then me continuously, even me now fighting him. Oh, yeah. So now that's like an open door for both of us fighting. Like KJ remembers it to this day.
And that's another thing that in the back of my head, I'm like, and KJ
was there that night when he was trying to kill me. KJ was there. He was watching me from the room, getting stomped. I mean, this man was literally taking his foot and stepping on my ribs, like continuously. Like, it was just crazy.
If that, I mean, and I want you to say this for like whoever may be out there with kids too, because like most people would think, well, why didn't she leave? Like, she got a son, like he's watching this. But it's so hard to leave something that's the only thing you know.
Yeah. And someone that you love and you feel like, and I had that.
You trauma bonded with this monster.
Oh
like that's what you really did. But
and it's like, I love you,
don't
you
know
love me,
that.
I don't want to give up on you. And it's like, I can change you. I can change you. You're not going to be like this forever. I can make you
that louder for everybody. You cannot change what doesn't want to change. You know what I mean? Like, but it's
like, he changed me too. Like, and like I said, like, I now became that person. Yeah. So now going into my relationships, I felt like that was a norm. So it took for Lucas' dad to break me out of that, because when we fought, I punched him dead in his face.
Oh my God, I can't.
I was like, what? And I just hit him, and he looked at me and he was like, that's what we're not gonna do, and I'm leaving. And he walked out, and I was like, you're not gonna hit me back. I was so like,
but that's crazy to think that you thought that was normal.
Yeah. And he left me for real. Like, he wouldn't answer my calls. It took him 2 weeks.
I would have left your ass too
to come back.
Let's be real.
Yeah,
like,
he came back and he was like, what we're not going to do is put our hands on each other.
Absolutely.
And he was like, because number one, if I put my hands on you, I will hurt you. I'm 6'5". I will hurt you.
Yeah.
And he was
huge.
like, yeah.
He
was like, I will hurt you. He was like, and I don't want to go to jail for that. And I don't want to hurt you. So he was like, and you're pregnant. I was pregnant at the time.
You punched this man pregnant?
Pregnant. Punched him. Then I threw a diaper box at him because it was after our baby
So
shower.
he broke you out of that. But really, like, that doesn't mean you healed.
No. I had to do therapy. I definitely had to do therapy.
Did it affect how you were with your own kids? In the sense of like, I don't know, because there's something that happens to a person, period, when something switches in their brain, when they go through certain things, like, you know, this kind of trauma, this kind of pain. So it's like, I don't even know how it.
But even before Greg, the 2 other relationships I had before him, both violence. I had to get a restraining order on one guy.
But it was because you started it, or because at that
I
point
let-
you searched for it,
right.
like,
Well, not that I searched for it. I
felt comfortable.
I
with
thought that was the normal. So when I saw the signs of the aggression and the
Like, oh,
violence, I'm
this is
like,
the guy
oh,
for me.
Right. This is
Wow,
normal.
that's
This is how guys are.
wild.
We're gonna fight. This is how it's gonna be.
So I'm so very different in that sense.
Mm.
That's crazy. So my story is different, but I know there's a lot of people out there that if they see this on my family end will know, but also like it's not a secret. Okay, so mine is different because I was a child, and I say domestic violence in the sense it was sexual, but it was also like getting my ass beat. So I had a stepdad. My mom got with him. She went to Puerto Rico when my grandmother passed, so I was like 4. She brought him back. Our dad was living with us, so she brought him back. Surprise! You know, there's this guy. So we had an automatic stepdad and lost our dad in the same day.
Wow.
I'm gonna cry. But I don't cry necessarily for the problem or for what I went through, for more like my dad, you know what I mean? My dad passed now, but like he went through a lot of trauma in that sense too.
Wow.
So the way it happened, I thought, okay, like there's this new guy. He seemed very different. He was just like Hispanic, but very like, I want to say just like open to things. So I thought that was the coolest thing. Like I really loved my stepdad.
Mm-hmm.
I did. It didn't happen overnight, but I loved the hell out of him. But I didn't know that he was grooming me and my sister. Actually, even my brothers too, like grooming us. Like he was way younger than my mom. I mean, 15 years actually, 15
wow.
years. So at that time, he's barely a teenager when we're, you know what I mean? Like I'm 4 and he's maybe like 20, you know, like,
Wow.
which I didn't think of that until I got older.
Right.
But so long story short, what happened is like all of a sudden we're moving to Florida. And so I move here, I'm 10, 11 years old, and I just start seeing signs of like weird things with my sister. Just like, you know, I'm very intuitive, so I just started seeing and feeling and coming into my room at night. And my sister's 4 years older, so it's not like our age gap is 10 years and she's a grown adult now. But long story short, he molested us heavily. I know he raped my sister. I mean, multiple times, throughout many years. And our abuse was like, if we spoke too much, I'm a very outspoken person, so if I spoke too much, enough to like where people may know that something's going on, I was like, if I wasn't beat, I was starved to death. Like, and I say to death, but I'm starved. Like, so for me, I don't know which is worse, because like you're touching me, but like you're also restricting my voice
Right.
and my food. So
Right.
on all facets, everything about me was restricted, you know? So that kind of abuse, I don't know what it's called or what, but I just feel like it was almost like I didn't know how to even be a person. Like I had to hold back from everything. If I talked too much, if I said too much, then oh my God. But for years, I never had a hatred for him. It's weird to say. It was almost like I almost felt sorry for him. Like he had to be this person. I don't know, for years. Like it took me a long time to be mad at him.
Right.
But I very much was protective of me, so he never went there to the point of rape or anything. But I saw a lot of stuff he did to my sister, a lot of stuff I know he did with his own family and cousins. Like, I'm gonna put it out there.
What did your sister do? Did she say?
Nothing. You know how you said you feel like that was love? And I will say this, and not to defend my sister, we're very different. So where I eventually was like, this is terribly wrong, I think to this day as an adult, somehow she thought that at least he loved me.
Wow.
And it took a long time. No.
Okay.
I
Wow.
cry more for my sister because I really truly Like, yeah.
God.
I really truly, and it's not even my pain. Like, I watched my sister for years think this is okay. And I really truly think she felt loved. And I don't think my sister knows otherwise to this day.
That's
So
deep.
for me, so how it all kind of came to light, I had a aunt visiting, which is one of my closest aunts. She was like, something's off. And I'm blind. I've always been this, you know, like I've always been very, and she calls me over and she's like, something's going on with your sister. And I'm like, well, yeah, but me too. And I, you know, like I didn't even think I was telling on someone. It was just like, it was just as natural as day I'm talking to my aunt. She calls over my sister, you know, like quietly is like, yeah. I mean, I think my sister even at one point was pregnant, but like I really, like my sister went through a lot. So I give her all that, like her trauma is probably way deeper, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so my aunt's like, what the, you know, like as aunts should, as any human should. But what I didn't say is like, my mom always knew, my mom always condoned it, and my mom always kind of gave the right. Like, I think my mom has this thing where, I can't believe I'm saying this on national TV, but my mom has this thing where I think like my daughters were like, hey, there's a bonus to me. I have girls that you may want to, I really truly think, because he's not the only one that at one point wanted anything with us. So I think my mom has a problem on itself. But when they spoke to my mom, and my mom, I knew she knew. I was this little girl growing up knowing that my mom would unlock our doors or open our doors so that our stepdad could come in. So let's be real, like she knew, I know that. But she acted really shocked and offended, and she came to him and he was like, no, and he was gonna hit us. Like, beat the shit out of us. I know it. He's 6'3", 250 pounds easy, and I'm weighed 50, 60 pounds at the time, you know, like, and so I called 911 and I hung up like scared, and they called back and I told them what happened. My little 11-and-a-half-year-old self, you know? But I was like, he's gonna kill my sister. Like I never, and that's the mama bear in me, is like, I think I didn't realize my own trauma until years later. It was literally my sister. And the cops came and they did a lot of things, and you know, so he ended up going to jail. But then what the most trauma for me was the aftermath with my mother, because it wasn't like, if we getting molested, raped, and for years and years, and abused for years and years wasn't enough. Now she hates us. She hates me because I called the cops. I called the cops on him, and for a very long time I didn't eat. Like, she would give me.
That was her punishment.
I was locked in a room.
Oh my God.
And so my sister and I were initially together, but my sister's easily like, oh, he loves me, they love me, you know? And I was like, this is, you know, I already knew this is wrong. So eventually she got out, and I was the one that was like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna keep saying that he did this. I mean, there was a lot of proof that he did this, so he was looking at, you know, almost life in prison. But eventually the worst thing that has ever happened to me was, after a while of not eating, of like not being outside, not even being able to see outside, I had to say, this man, oh, I lied, even though the police knew. And he was released a year and a half later.
Wow.
And we lived with him again for about a year until,
back?
yeah. That part was what I had to live with the most, because my sister eventually moved away to New York, and I had to live with him, and I had to suck it up for like another year until he cheated on my mom and got that lady's daughter pregnant, and she's close to my age. So I mean, do the math. Yeah, and he had a whole baby with this child.
Oh my God.
So I mean, I think my trauma the most lived with, like, the pain, the embarrassment. So for so long it was like, oh, I still live with this man, what am I supposed to tell people? And people knew. I don't think a lot of people, not everybody believed us at the time. My mom is very persuasive, and he got out, so he must have. But he has a lot of these things, not just with me, and so like he eventually, I think he's a registered sex offender now. It didn't end with me, but I wish it did, and so that's the pain I carry.
With your mom not being your protector, like you would think as your mother, like I'm telling you this and you know this, why are you not protecting me?
I'm laughing because I don't even have words. I don't expect any less. Like now I know that this is just the person she is, but growing up, because it's not just this situation. Growing up, this is just all I had. And for a while I wanted her to love me, even if it was like false. I don't feel any type of way right now. I feel like that's who she is, and I can't connect myself to that on an emotional level anymore. That's what like
That's so deep.
I can't believe I'm sharing this, but like we both have these stories, and it's both like you don't know what someone's going through. I had a friend tell me during this time, and it's crazy, like maybe a year later, like he was almost leaving already, and she was like, I've always thought you've had like this perfect life. You come in bubbly and you're nice, and I always thought to myself, like, you just never know what someone's going through. So I think that's where the kindness comes from. This is gonna sound fucking nuts. I wouldn't change what I went through to this day, only because I broke the cycle. Only because for now, my kids have never had to suffer those same things, and if I had to suffer it for them to be okay, I'm okay.
Well, you know what's crazy with mine is years later, once me and Lucas' dad separated, this guy, he reached back out. Well, he actually was reaching out continuously, just checking on KJ, because that's one thing I can say. He was a horrible person to me, but his love for he never put a hand on KJ for some reason.
Because maybe he saw his dad do it, and
probably.
I just wish he would have broken the cycle.
Man, he had no kids, so he was always amazing to KJ. Always. But, what he's showing KJ wasn't amazing. But
absolutely not. It's still abuse. Because this mental abuse doesn't go easily.
So he reached out to me, and he was just like, and I want to say 2019 maybe. The birthday the birthday that you came to, that pajama party?
Yeah.
The next day we went to Cooper's Hop?
Yeah.
He came to Cooper's Hop.
Oh,
were you there? No. He wasn't. He walked in.
Look at me, I'm mad.
Right. So he walks in.
So defensive with my people.
And we're like, and Valerie's like, oh my God, look who it is. And I'm like nothing? Yeah. And
I love you, Valerie, but girl, that's when you grab your shoe.
But I think Valerie knew, like, I can't tell Valerie mad at him because I allowed it too. Like,
yeah. It was I wasn't in the moment, and I'm also a different person than I was even 5 years ago. So, look at me, I'm like, emotional stuff.
Oh, but my mom, when he walked in, oh my God.
And that's the difference between your mom and mine.
She looked like she wanted to burn that restaurant down. And then the fact that he came over and sat down, we were like, my mom looked like she just was so disgusted. She was like, I was like,
because at the end of the day, you're still her baby in that. Like, and I'm proud of that for you, for your mom, because
I was just kept looking at her, looking at him. I was like, oh God. Then afterwards, he ended up reaching out. My number has been the same since we've been together.
Wow.
So he called me, we talked. He was like, let's go out. I went out with him.
Nicole?
I did. We went out to dinner.
She's not even Nikki today.
Right. We went out to dinner, and I can honestly say he still has a piece of my heart for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe because he was honestly my first boyfriend. Like my first real relationship.
I can't relate though, because like
he told me he changed and blah blah blah. So
he didn't change.
Girl, we went out to dinner, and the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, this man used to beat my ass.
I can't.
Like I'm just looking at him like, I can't believe. I said, I can't believe you used to beat my ass. I told him that. I can't believe you used to really beat my ass. And he was like, but yeah, you beat my ass too. I'm like, I know, and that's not good.
That's not normal. Like this is what I'm saying. This isn't a thing. It shouldn't be. You know,
right.
You don't sit down to dinner with your abuser. Like, that's
and
not
I'm
what you
looking
do.
at him, but I am kind of glad we did, because we did talk about it, and I got to tell him, like, I thought you loved me, and I know that that wasn't love. Like,
I would hope not.
I told him, I was like, because, you know,
Look at me. I'm like tearing up.
after being with Greg, I was like, he showed me what love was. Like, even when I was so horrible to him and hit him, he showed me what a real man would do. Like, he would leave me rather than put his hands on me. Like, that's crazy.
That's not crazy.
No, it's not. But I told him,
That's
I was
the
like,
norm. But
I was like, you told me, and I will never forget. You told me that I'm the kind of woman that needs to be beat. You told me that.
I'm trying not to cry. I'm stumped because I feel like on some level, like we both thought that was sort of normal, because what else love? I didn't get love like that. Like, people
Right.
didn't openly, you know. But the aftermath. So you said, like, you were aggressive, you beat even Greg and stuff like that. For me, I went anti. Like, I wasn't anti-men because I grew up with amazing men. I will say that. Like, shout out, like, my dad was a good guy. Like, my brothers, you know, they have their faults, but still genuinely good people.
Right.
So I really love to celebrate men.
Mm-hmm.
But I was, I don't know how to say this shit, but I was almost like I almost wanted to push people away, so you didn't see that I was still in pain. So I was like, I wasn't in the sense like aggressive. I was just kind of mean, or like I didn't, and even you will attest to this. I didn't let people in. So like my aftermath is like, I don't easily trust,
Right.
and I didn't want people to know too much about my life. Like, even when we've known each other for years, but I would say the last 2, maybe 3 years is when you've gotten to know me on a deeper level, because I'd rather talk about everybody else's issues and everybody else. I'm like, I'm trying not to cry, but not my own. And I realized that was like my defense.
Yeah.
Like, because when we were kids, even when you were with this guy, maybe you weren't as hidden, people saw it, but we had to put up a front. We're fine. Like, nobody's touching us. We're good.
Yeah.
We would go to New York all the time, and it's like, how you guys doing? Great. Like, it was like an automatic response.
Yeah.
So like, for the longest time, I'm always good, even
Right.
if I'm not, even if I'm
Right.
dying inside.
But even like I said, like Rita knew that night that we got into a fight. She didn't know. Nobody knew he hit me.
Yeah.
Nobody.
It was
knew
just a
for
fight.
Years. That this
Yeah, you
man
gotta hide
hit
shit.
me. The Valerie is the only one who really saw it in action. I really don't think Rita knew to what kind of extent it was.
Yeah.
She knew that we were fighting. That's all
Yeah.
people ever knew.
Yeah.
Like, we would fight, and she knew how controlling he was, because, you know, it was like, damn, like they always used to tease me. We don't never see you anymore, and I'm like, I know. Like, every time they would go out, or like we'll talk about.
And you're so good at like putting up the front. I think we both are. That's one thing, but that comes from that.
Yeah.
It comes from the shit that we went through, because we're so good at, like, you could be crying or I could be crying
Yeah.
1 minute, smile on,
yeah.
dazzling, what are we ready to do? But that's not the norm.
Right.
Either,
And I think
you
the
know?
only thing I really regret is just like exposing KJ to this.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of it, because me and KJ grew up together, so he saw
Yeah.
all that. Then he saw the relationship I had after that with the abuse, and then he saw Greg, and he saw that wasn't abuse, but that wasn't healthy either. It was good. It was good.
You came into a relationship unhealed.
Right.
What is it gonna be?
Right. And then it was
It's
like, it
not
switched. Like, I came in unhealed, and Greg was amazing.
Yeah.
And then it switched, and then he lost his job, and he went down that dark path, and he got so dark and depressed that he was a whole different person. And Greg, we argued a lot after that, but he never hit me. He would punch holes in the wall. He would break everything else. But me.
That's still
No, it's
abuse.
bad. Yeah, because
that's
now
still
it's like,
abuse.
he came into this, I'm not gonna hit you out. He was never angry. He lost his job and he started drinking, and it just went downhill from there. And I was like, oh my God. And I told him, you're not the same person. So when he got like that, I think I was old enough to now realize, like, no, I have to protect my kids.
Yeah.
Because it's like, KJ's seeing this, Lucas is seeing this, and it's like, this man is punching holes in the wall as if it was my face.
Yeah. To not hit your face.
Right.
It still
So
means
like,
the same thing. So I don't have a lot of relationships under my belt. Everybody who knows me knows that. Like, I pretty much stay in a relationship kind of girl. You know what I mean? But that also comes from that because I'm so terrified. And I didn't realize this until like a year ago. I'm terrified of someone new, and not someone new to meet, just someone new in an intimate way. And that, I mean, I feel like I'm really healed. Like, I don't cry in the sense of like, oh my God, this happened to me. I cried sometimes thinking about my sister, who I don't feel is very healed to this day, and things like that. But I didn't realize, and I went in deep. You know, I had the same boyfriend for 1,000 flipping years, got married, but it wasn't until like we separated around the time I met you that like I did some really deep healing because I had the time. It was always about everybody else, you know. Even when I was going through it, it was about my sister because she wasn't the vocal one. Like, I had to protect her. So I had never had a moment to where I could take time to heal because I still had a lot of anger. I still was pushing people away. But I had the boys, and I mean, Noah was really little, like 2, and I told myself, like, if I don't take this time, I'm never going to heal, and I'm always going to have a piece of me almost dead. Like, it sounds weird, but it's like a piece of you that you don't talk about that doesn't exist. It's like it's there, but it's dead. And for the longest time, I mean, I just remembered how hard the healing process was. And that I had to heal from what happened and then almost forgive the people that did it. That fucking shit is hard. I'm sorry for like cursing somebody. It's hard. There's no other way about it. It's a hard situation to heal. Like, unhealed people stay unhealed because that's the easy route. Like, I always say that. It's so, like, to process your trauma.
You're not really all the way. I felt like I was all the way healed until I got into that one relationship with that guy from Atlanta. And I saw the abusive traits, and I still wanted to help him. And I still wanted to be in there. Even though he was doing the controlling shit and trying to isolate
real
me.
mad.
I was just like, girl, even he hit me. And once he hit me,
Why didn't you say? So, I don't know that. I did not know that.
he hit me. And once he
You
hit
never
me,
told me that, but that explains so much because during that time, I remember one time I was walking at work. Like, I would do walks, you know, my health kick. I was really healthy then. And I was walking and I talked to you. It was like a lunch break. And you sounded so defeated, but you never expressed, I was whooped. Look at me mad. You know, because I know that I can remember the exact conversation.
I did too. That's why I started choking because I remember it.
And you sounded
And
so
you were
defeated.
like,
I was like,
Are you okay?
like, really, are you okay? And you're like, oh, you know, he just gets to me sometimes. But what? I'm mad for you.
Nobody knew.
For that.
Nobody knew. Well, I went to Atlanta one time and we got into an argument in a hotel room. He took a soda bottle and flung it at my face. It hit me all here. It was swollen. And he left. He didn't put his hands on me, but he hit me on purpose.
No, that
like, no, he did it on fucking purpose.
Yeah.
Because I said something about him cussing me out. I was like, who the fuck are you? Like, I don't even need you. And he took that bottle and he just swung it. And that was really the ice to like the icing on the cake. And I was like, wow, you're really not about to go through this path again. I was like, I can't. And I wanted to, and then
so
I felt like
much to me right now.
And that's why I feel like I was defeated, because how am I back here again? Fucking years later, I'm back in this shit again?
So do you think, damn, I'm mad because like I don't even feel that I was the proper friend to you.
You couldn't have been, because nobody knew, honestly. Valerie didn't even know, and I talked to her every day. Nobody knew.
So, but that explains to me even how you processed that breakup. Because I didn't get it. I was like, why is she so
It wasn't even because of him.
I kept saying butthurt.
Right.
Like, why she so butthurt over this guy?
It wasn't him. It was me.
It was a situation.
It was
like
I really let myself get back to this. Like, who am I? Am I healed? Did I do the work? Like, wow. And then I was like, damn, is this all you attract?
No.
These men that want to beat you?
No.
So I was like, I knew at that point I had to go back to therapy, and I was like, I can't.
So glad you did. I'm like, it makes me so sad. I'm so, because it's like, I get it. This is gonna sound crazy too. Like, I don't want a relationship with my stepdad. To this day, I actually don't even hate him. He grosses me out, and I have nothing but pity for the man. But I get kind of almost like he's broken. There's something wrong. I get, because even every once in a while I kind of cling to another broken soul, or somehow we joke around about this, but Melissa and I, like, oh, you're tight broken, and I'm like, I see someone's pain, and even in their nasty, even in their psycho, even in their crazy, and I kind of hold on to that part of them. So it's like we want to heal those people,
definitely,
because we were the ones that were broken and hurt and felt unheard and didn't have a voice. So I get that. I get, it's not that you attract men like that want to beat you. It's that we only see that little piece of, like, they show you asshole all, like, they're just a terrible human being all over. That spark, and you're like, I really want to hold on to that little beautiful piece of that person, because maybe they didn't get the love that, look at us, you know? And it just hit me. Like, I think that's why.
That's definitely what it is. Because even after the whole thing with Atlanta guy, he left the hotel that night. I made him leave. The next day I'm packing my stuff to go home. He comes back to the hotel crying. Like, he's so sad. Oh my God, I did this. I'm so sorry. This is not like me. I'm so sad. I'm so sad.
It is like him.
Blah, blah. I prayed on it. Blah, blah, blah. And my heart broke for him. I was like, oh my God, like, you're really sorry that you did this. But I can't be with you.
Yeah.
But
we're very empathetic people, because we both, like, really see, like, someone's trauma. I mean, I cry more for other people than my own self. It really is. But I wouldn't change that part about us. But that part is really because of the trauma. It really is, because we see people's pain deeply because nobody saw ours.
Exactly.
That's wild. You just made me,
Girl.
you made me cry. I'm leaking.
You made me cry. I'm like, I said I wasn't gonna cry, but then I see you tearing. Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's crazy, because if you don't know us, this never happened. You know what I mean? If you barely know us and you go based on surface, or you go based on, like, we're happy-go-lucky people, but that's generally who we are. Doesn't mean we don't have no pain.
Right.
So, like, I wish this is, like, something that people start seeing and realize, like, people go through some shit that you'll never know of. Yeah. And you know what? Like, at the end of the day, there's kindness, there's beauty in that. If people find it. Like, I feel like some people judge people also based on just, like, what they see.
Right. And like you said, I wouldn't change anything.
I would not.
Anything.
It was, I mean, even my mother, I wouldn't even change it. You know why? Because I'm a better mother.
Right.
Because I'm choosing to learn from that.
Right.
Do I crave, you know, like, hey, a pep talk from my mother? Probably. Right. Or like, hey, here's some guidance.
Right.
But I had an amazing grandmother. Not her mom. My mom's mom died at 4, when I was 4. But my grandma on my dad's side was the mom that I never had, and I will never take that. I mean, I had a mom to that extent. But do I wish she had remorse? Yeah, because I'm freaking pushing 40. I'm 38. And she still, to this day, never said I'm sorry. So, like, those words, I mean, my stepdad didn't, but he'd have to admit that he's a pedophile. Right. So, you know, I get that. So you almost have to heal and accept the apology you never got. Right. And even if this guy said I'm sorry, that's not a real apology. No. Because he doesn't even think he did anything wrong.
And I feel sorry for who he's with now. And I think that's why God never gave him kids. I mean, it's 40-something years with no kids. And he wants kids. But
Because
it's like,
I don't know which is worse, to beat the child or to have the child watch a beating constantly. Because like I watch a lot of like my brothers, they were molested, but I know my older brother, and I don't want to speak too much on his story, but beat. But it was like almost an intimidation, almost like a manipulation. There was no, like, we were really good kids. There really isn't a reason why we would have gotten beat. Like when I think back, I mean, truly, genuinely decent kids. Like they created the monsters, if for lack of a better word, for what we became. Like I don't feel like I'm a monster, but I feel like there was a lot of behavior that was very angry, very, you know. So, and we all have something, you know. And I will say it stays with you. You have to work on yourself. You got to be self-aware.
Yeah. And when I left Greg and moved out, and then he came to have a conversation, and he asked me, "Mom, can you please not move anybody else in?" Mom,
That's deep.
because you don't
That's
really
deep.
make good choices sometimes. And I was like, but you know, he seemed, and he loved Greg. He loved him, but he got to see the dark that he went through too.
I don't know.
And
I'm gonna cry right now.
Lucas saw it too, because Lucas sometimes says like,
I love your kids like my own.
Yeah.
So it's
Lucas like, I remember my dad punched a hole in the wall. And even like Dee Dee, she was there, her Rita was there one time Greg flipped out, and they were like scared. We were scared. I had to call my mom over to like help us, because it was bad. He was flipping the fuck out.
and knowing he's the only one that I actually know of, like the two fathers. Like I've seen the other one in passing, but nothing.
Yeah.
He seems so mild mannered.
He is. That's
And-
how I knew he was going through. And he needs help, but he doesn't believe in therapy. He needs.
And let's talk about that really quick, because like because we both been through it.
Yeah.
I mean, in different routes. Like I went more of a spiritual route and did therapy with my church and all that. I mean, still therapy with a therapist. I feel like I'm like leaking. I'm crying. Give me a second. I'm stepping out for a second. Yes,
What up? It's just me, y'all.
Because I am.
It's just me and my wine. Hey, y'all. She's leaking.
This girl. This is live TV. No, I'm just kidding. But no, but what bothers me the most, and especially we'll say this, like our brown community is so anti-therapy.
Yeah.
And if we went on any path, spiritual, whatever way you want to go, it would be so much healing for so many people.
Yes.
Like I feel like my older brother, I said, we're the closest right now, and he has so many things that he can work on because of what he went through. And I just want to say, like, therapy doesn't make you weak. Fixing yourself doesn't make you weak, right? Having emotions don't make you weak. Like, men are stronger. Brown people, it's okay. Like, I say brown people because we're both brown. Like, we both have, you have Latin, you got black. Like, I hear it all the time. Like, I feel like it's more accepted. And they're like, I'm sorry, it's just, it is what it is. That's the truth. But it's like they think it's like you failed somehow. But isn't it failing to do the same damn shit that your family did on your kids that broke you? That's failing.
Yeah.
I didn't break my kids, and I'm proud of that.
I would say if he had got therapy while we were together, like real therapy, because we did marriage counseling, but that was for our marriage. He needed to do
As
his
individuals,
own.
you gotta heal.
Yeah.
If
If he would have did that, we probably would still be married, and he would be. I think he's amazing. I think he's an amazing person.
Yeah.
But
I
he
think
went
highly of him
through-
too, because he's a father.
Yes.
As fathers should
And
be.
he's an amazing father. He's an amazing. When I met him, that's what drew me to him, because I'm like, oh my god, he's such a good person. Like everything about him was good. He never raised his voice at me. That's why when I used to tell people we got in an argument, he yelled at me. People would never believe me. They're like, what you did to that man?
That man did not yell.
They're like, you're the one. I had to record him one time, literally yelling at me to send it to Rita. Like, look, see, I told you he yells at me. She's like, oh my god, he really was yelling. Yes,
That's wild to me. I feel like for a long time in my relationship, I don't want to say like, I don't think I was abusive, but I very much spewed out the pain I was feeling.
Mm.
So like, and I own this, so sorry, sorry baby daddy, whatever. But like,
My bad.
I was very, like, my pain had to come out somehow.
Right.
So I didn't scream a lot. It wasn't that. It was just like, I was just rough. Like, I'll own it. I was really rough. Like, he was softer. He came from, like, parents that have been together forever. Like, not much trauma. Like, probably didn't understand the hell out of me. And one thing I will say that I learned in therapy that I feel like it changed the way I thought, period, is that nobody can understand what they didn't go through. So they can empathize.
Yeah.
They can listen to you. They can hear you out. But understanding comes from things that you actually have experienced.
Right.
Like, I cannot fathom getting my ass beat to that extent by a boyfriend. I can't fathom that. I don't know. It made me sad.
Yeah.
It made me want to punch them in the face myself. But I can't fathom it. I can't understand where you went through, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
I expected my relationship to be like, if I voiced, and at that time I voiced it only to very few people. Mm-hmm. Nobody knew I went through that, but he did. I wanted him to know, like, how I was feeling and get it.
Right.
How the hell can he?
Right.
And that's big too. Like, sometimes people just want you to listen without the commentary.
Right.
Without, like, oh, just get over it. It happened when you were 11.
Right.
Or, I mean, I went through something years later, which we'll probably talk about another time, that triggered it.
Yeah.
And I was with him. Oh, why are you so, like, you're fine, you're safe. Why are you so bothered? I was angry that don't tell people why you're so bothered when they went through something traumatizing that probably would have killed you. That's another thing. Like, I feel like people assume, like, getting beat, oh, but she stayed. Like, that's these things are triggers, and they trigger you for a long time. Even if you're healed, or even if you've worked so hard to get to a place of, like, health, something simple, like, and I want to say this, simple, or a word that somebody says, or an action, or someone grabbing you from behind, whatever, is going to trigger you. That doesn't mean that you're immune from pain. You know what I mean? So I want people to understand that, because, like, I used to get it all the time. Well, that happened when you were young. Listen, things replayed. Like, you know what a nightmare is to go to sleep.
Listen,
I
my trigger when I feel like I gotta fight a man is my trigger. When I feel like I'm
like, you gotta protect yourself to that point.
I have to fight, then I'm like, oh man, no, this is not good.
For me, I'm very, like, I'll be honest, I don't mind sex. I like sex. But I don't like to be overly sexualized. So when someone only wants that from me, or when someone makes me feel like my mind, my personality doesn't matter, I'm triggered. I am. Because, like, I got boobs. I got a body. Like, who cares about those things? That's probably why I don't put so much importance to that for myself or for someone else. It's because that's a trigger for me. Like, oh, so you just want to have sex. I've been there, like, been there, done that, you know what I mean? So, like, for me, it's like, those are little things that are triggering, but I don't want to explain it over and over to somebody. But anyway, what's one thing, last thing, one thing that you wish people knew about domestic violence?
That you have a voice, and you have a choice. You can leave. You don't have to stay there. No matter how much investments you've made in it, how much you love this person, or how much this person, you know this is a good person, but this person can change and you want to stick around, no. Choose you and walk the fuck away.
I think I wouldn't have anything different to add. Like, your voice is so powerful if you use it, whether it blows shit up, like, this might blow shit up for me.
Right.
A lot of people are still in my life. But it's like, you use your power. Like, for a long time we were silenced, right? So I think that's probably, we're both pretty outspoken, pretty blunt people. Because for so long we didn't have a voice. So I feel like use it, empower other people, and nobody's story is less than, it's just different. You know what I mean? Like, I think comparison is the root of all evil, and especially in stories like this, like nobody has it worse than the other. Like, it's really relative. And be kind.
Right.
Like, shit, be
Choose to
kind.
walk away. Choose yourself.
Always. Because I wouldn't have changed it, but I probably would have spoke up sooner. I just didn't know. You know,
I
I
would
was
have
a
walked
child.
away.
Yeah.
I would have walked away sooner.
Yeah. But you know what? We're stronger and better from.
We are.
And we're here on this podcast, right? It was a deep one.
It was.
Thank you for watching us cry. But that's part of our story. We'll keep sharing. We're gonna have a lot of little like episodes that are gonna be a little deeper, more company on this couch or elsewhere.
Right.
You want to talk about the round table?
Oh, we're gonna have round tables coming up with a bunch of lovely ladies who have amazing stories. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna be getting deep too.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any topics that you guys want us to touch on, you know, something that you're struggling with that maybe you want to get some insight on it.
You want to even come on, like come join us.
Yeah,
we're really just getting started. I feel like it's just building up. We're finding our niche. We're willing to share, and we appreciate everybody for watching.
Yes,
truly,
thank you
so much. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, neighbors.
Bye, neighbors.